Good evening, all, and welcome to our opening Let's Talk speaker series, celebrating BWCF's 30 years of educating children in New York City. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing Russ Carson, a longtime friend of the Beginning with Children Foundation. Russ has distinguished himself as a venture capitalist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. In addition to his 25-year record of supporting the Beginning with Children Foundation, Russ and his family's foundation has also supported a number of notable New York City institutions, including Rockefeller University, the New York Genome Center, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and the 9/11 Memorial Fund. In addition, the Carson family supports many Catholic schools in New York City and in Cleveland through the Partnership for Inner City Education, an organization that provides management services for 8 Catholic schools. Tonight, Russ will be speaking via recorded video. Please turn your attention to Russ's video. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Russ Carson. I'm the chairman of the Carson Family Charitable Trust. We've been longtime supporters of Beginning with Children, and I'm delighted to be with you tonight. We started supporting Beginning with Children probably 25 years ago, and it all came out of a friendship I developed with Joe Rich. And he told me about Beginning with Children, which I thought was really impressive. The fact that one individual, in this case a couple with Joe and Carol, had taken it upon themselves to do something about improving the education in New York City. I think education is the number one civil rights issue of our generation. If young people don't have an opportunity to get a good education, it's going to be very difficult for them to get good jobs in the 21st century. This is a period of time where I think education counts more than ever. Beginning with Children does a very good job. It's been here for 30 years. When you look at the results, its graduates have done very well. So you have to say it's succeeding in a big way, and it is absolutely worth supporting. We certainly intend to continue to support it. My name is Russ Carson, and I don't sing. How's that?
Good evening again. I am Isosa Agbahan, Managing Director of Teaching and Learning at the Beginning with Children Foundation. I will also be the founding principal of our new Beginning with Children Community Partnership High School, a school committed to preparing our young people for college and career success through enriching academic and internship experiences. We are fortunate tonight to have a guest of honor who has successfully created classroom experiences that facilitate workplace success. Our guest of honor this evening is Sir Hamdi Ulukaya, the founder and CEO of Chobani, one of the fastest growing food companies in the last decade, and a pioneer in the natural food movement. Hamdi, raised in a dairy farming family in Eastern Turkey, launched Chobani in 2007 with the mission of making better food more accessible. In less than 5 years, Chobani became the #1 selling Greek yogurt brand in the United States, with more than $1 billion in annual sales. Chobani has been named to Fortune's Change the World list of companies, was honored with a Salute to Greatness Award by the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change, and named one of the best places to work for LGBTQ equality by the Human Rights Campaign. Hamdi has been recognized globally for his philanthropy and humanitarian efforts. He is the recipient of the Save the Children Humanitarian Award, the Robert F. Kennedy Ripple of Hope Award, the United Nations Global Leadership Award, the George Bush Points of Light Award, a Global Citizen Prize winner, in addition to being named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Ms. Ulukaya is also a recipient of honorary doctorates from the Sage Colleges, SUNY Albany, and Colgate University. While working globally, Hamdi has still acted locally. Here, he has focused his philanthropic efforts in the communities where his employees live and where his products are made. From its inception, Chobani has donated a portion of its profits to charitable causes, many of them in New York and Idaho, where its products are made. Champion of reducing income and wealth inequality nationwide, Ulukaya raised the starting hourly wage to at least $15 an hour, more than double the federal minimum wage. In addition, Hamdi implemented a profit-sharing program for the company's 2,000 employees. He also took the rare step in food manufacturing of implementing a 6-week, fully paid parental leave program for all of the company's mothers and fathers. In 2016, Hamdi launched the Chobani Food Incubator, mentor and support socially responsible food entrepreneurs and further deliver on the company's mission to provide better food for more people. The Chobani Food Incubator provides equity-free capital to startup food companies. In addition, incubator participants receive mentorship and networking opportunities. We are fortunate tonight to have a Chobani Food Incubator alum facilitating this evening's conversation with Hamdi. Our facilitator tonight is Ms. Denise Woodard. Denise is the founder and CEO of Partake, a line of nationally distributed allergy-friendly snacks inspired by her daughter's experience with food allergies. Launched in 2017, Partake's products, delicious, nutritious, allergy-friendly cookies and baking mixes, can now be found in more than 6,000 retailers, including Target, Sprouts, and Whole Foods. In December 2020, the company closed a Series A round of funding led by investors including Rihanna, Circle Up Growth Partners, the venture fund Fast Forward 2032, and Marcy Venture Partners. Of the $7.5 million Denise has raised, more than half of it has come from Black investors. Prior to launching Partake, Denise spent a decade in consumer packaged goods at various Fortune 100 companies and is the first Black woman to raise more than $1 million publicly for a consumer packaged goods startup. Denise is also the founder of the Black Futures in Food and Beverage Fellowship Program. This program welcomes students attending HBCUs who are interested in exploring careers in consumer packaged goods. We're excited to have Denise facilitating tonight's important conversation. Last, but certainly not least, we have Tolu Oladitan moderating the chat room tonight. Tolu is a biomedical engineering graduate from Harvard University and someone who is near and dear to the Beginning with Children and Community Partnership Charter School community, having participated in our Legacy Network programming and having graduated from Community Partnership Elementary School. We're excited to have all three tonight, and I pass the mic to Denise and Hamdi.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
You're very welcome, Denise.
Hamdi, I am very much looking forward to our conversation today. I feel like I'm interviewing an icon, so I'm excited to chat with you.
Oh, so I am. So am I. Thank you so much. As I said, thank you so much for that introduction. It's so honored to be with you, sir, and honored to be with you all. And I'm so happy to see you, Denise. I hope all is well with you.
Yes, and I will dive right in because there's so much that we can learn from you. I know that the students will be so inspired, and as well as all of the listeners. So as Esosa mentioned, you lead one of the fastest growing food companies of the last decade, and you're a pioneer of the natural food movement. At the same time, you're a huge champion of social responsibility and giving back to the community. Can you talk about the various social responsibility initiatives that you've implemented at Chobani?
Sure. It's, as I said, I'm so honored to be here. I'm so happy. Anytime when I was watching the information about the foundation and school and how long it's been around, it's so beautiful. You know, I get my inspirations from story like this really every single day. That I would get lucky to be interacting with or get to know the people behind it. And this is everywhere in our society, right? And it's, I wasn't just in the border of Mexico in Texas, and where the children's and families are coming and all this news that we know. In there, we went to see 2 shelters. And in these 2 shelters, I met these amazing people who are doing this God's work, this amazing work in and out every single day without thinking who's going to see it, if they're going to be in the news, or if they're going to get the credit or anything like that. They do it because that's the way they are. They do it because this is the right thing to do. And that's how amazing human beings they are. An organization like this, with beginning with children, started with that idea of doing the right thing. Doesn't matter who gets the credit. So I'm really inspired. I'm really honored to be here. And of course, Michelle, one of our executives at Chobani, when she tells me about it and asks me to come in, and of course that's extremely effective too. So her being on the board means a lot. So one way or other, one shape or other, we are involved with this. So we would love to continue to involve with your organization with the children. So coming to the question, Dennis, you asked, and I know we interacted together at the incubator platform. It's my son. I never thought I would be in a field of business. I'm a nomad son. I grew up in the eastern part of Turkey. The world of business, the world of commerce were too far away from me, physically and mentally. And I grew up hating businesses and rich people and commerce and all that kind of stuff. And I had right reason to. I thought people of business were far away from the social issues that ordinary people were facing. I strongly believe that in some cases, businesses were the cause of some of the social issues that we were facing, and poverty and destruction of environments. And I didn't like it, and I never wanted to be involved with it. So I grew up as farmer, cheesemaker, yogurt maker in a very simple, traditional way. And when I arrived to here, and I started working a farm in upstate New York also, and I had a chance to see a different side of business, which I thought was very interesting. And my family is a cheesemaker in eastern part of Turkey, and I thought maybe I could make some cheese, and that led me into maybe I could make some better yogurt, and here we are. But to answer your question shortly, is all I try to do is not to become the guy who I grew up hating. All I try to do is look up to my mother, which I owe everything to. And if she can tell me, you're in a good road, you're doing things right, then I'm in a good path. And along the way, I did not have a blueprint, but I took this old factory that was closed by a large corporation. And when I started back up with 4 employees, that part of the company was closing, is not to repeat what they had done. Pay attention to the right thing, which is the people, pay attention to the right things like community, pay attention to the right thing like food that you make, pay attention to touching points where you can make an improvement, not destruction. And that's the wealth I had, that's the idea I had, and I rely on human spirit. I rely on people of this country, people in upstate New York, my brothers and sisters, that we didn't have enough money. In fact, we didn't have much money. We had no experience. We had a very old plant. We had a dream, and we wanted to make things different. Fast forward in 5 years, we broke all the records that an ordinary company can go through. And I go back to one simple reason. That was we were elevated. With the combination of love and anger, we were so elevated that normal status was not going to apply to us. We were going to climb that mountain for the right reason, and we had each other's back, and we worked hard, and we would just go back to simple teachings of our mothers and people that we respect, and we will fight for the right reasons. And here we are. And along the way, from my experience of life, seeing from the others, and inspired from the others, and my colleagues, my brothers and sisters at Chobani, and their input, we try to create something beautiful. It's better than ourselves. But I had one mission. Everything I see that I have problem in society, in humanity, in environment, that I'd like to answer it with Chobani in my small way. Maybe that could be an example of how the world of corporate should react to it at the same time.
Well, I would say what you've built at Chobani is nothing short of magical. And I got to experience that magic firsthand as a member of the 2018 Chobani Incubator cohort. And in 2016, when you launched the Chobani Food Incubator to empower and mentor socially responsible food entrepreneurs, I can't say how invaluable that experience was for us. And it came at such a critical point in our business. We were going from tiny regional brand to scaling our distribution. And you told us of all the landmines and your inspirational story and how you could create positive social impact while growing a business. Can you tell us more about the program and what motivated you to launch it?
And meeting you, it actually paid off, right? And I met so many other amazing entrepreneurs. And I truly believe in this. I truly believe in entrepreneurship. I truly believe in force of business for making an amazing change and sustainable change. So my goal was, if I could interact with like-minded entrepreneurs that have their right, their soul is in the right place. They start this journey for the right reason. Now you started for your daughter because your daughter couldn't have, allergy-free cookies and products. And you would think that so many other children would have this, but large corporations would never think about that, right? And there are others, entrepreneurs that you personally met, and I had a pleasure to meet so much. I realized that if we can share with each other, if we can create this environment, if we can create this, like-minded entrepreneurs union, in a way, then we could really move the needle. We can really see that we can go to the right directions. The second part of mine was technicals. Technicals, whether we were, we were right or we were smart, I don't know, or we were lucky, that we found a way to start a company, stay true to our founding principles, how food should be, how companies' responsibility should be when it comes to communities and peoples and employees and the community that you're serving. The idea was these technical things are extremely useful. And I thought about, if I was a startup and in the beginning, in the first year or second year or third year, and what would I love to hear from the others to tell me to watch out? So I thought I had some magical, you said minds, watch outs and certain things to do. And if I meet these right-minded, amazing entrepreneurs, and I would love to share with them because sharing is beautiful.
Agreed. I think the peer mentor relationships that I've built with the other alumni from the Chobani Incubator have been invaluable on my journey and really speaks to the spirit of lifting as you climb. And it's something I admire so much about your journey. and in serving the communities that you operate in, whether it's Idaho or upstate New York. I was going to ask specifically about the Reimagine New York Commission and the Pathways Pledge. Can you tell us more about your involvement there?
Well, they came through the pandemic, Denise. And I love New York. I'm a New Yorker. I've been here for a long time, both in New York City, Long Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and then later on upstate New York, different part of upstate New York. I love New York, and I love the spirit of New York. You've seen it, throughout. We're not without faults, without issues, but we try hard to make things better, and we always overcome. So when the pandemic started, the governor asked a group of us, led by Eric Schmidt and some others, to use this opportunity to reimagine New York, especially when it comes to work, the environment of work, when it comes to health, when it comes to access to technology and broadband. This is very smart, I thought, because if there is any time that you want to think about reimagining anything, it's through the crisis that you're going through, because you're very open to change at that time. At the same time, during the pandemics or during the crisis, you get to see things come to a surface, what we have and what we don't have. What kind of topics and issues that we're facing that we might not have seen it, or we have not seen in a level of catastrophe that it is when it comes to type of pandemic. And I thought that was the smartest things. And I've seen 14, 15, the smartest, most passionate, amazing people coming around the Zoom call like this every week for months and months and months, and thinking about details of what can we offer to our underserved communities, rural communities, education, health, work, access to work, and how can we elevate, especially minority communities, to come into access to quality work in New York, and how can we get the private industry to be part of it, involved with it. It was the most amazing Wednesdays, hours of conversation I had with the smartest people that I can only imagine to be part of. And we made some recommendations, and most of them, if not all, has turned into law, and governor, took the advice and act on it. I'm so proud to see it, and hopefully it will continue and make the change for a long term. But that is what I said before the pandemic to our people, and said, of course we have to be safe. Of course we have to take care of our families, our loved ones, and our colleagues, and all that. But I said, we don't want crises like this to happen, because that means pain, that means sorrow, that means losses. But it happens. Now, let's not just try to survive, but let's also transform individually, or company, or society, or humanity, because we have a lot of issues, and we've seen it during the pandemic: social injustice, income inequality, access to healthcare, access to food. We just realized how many children were going to bed hungry because the schools were the only place they were getting food. So these are all came to the surface. So now let's go after them. Let's one by one go after them and make the world better for our children.
Definitely. So you mentioned your children, and earlier you mentioned making your mother proud. Can you tell us, how has your upbringing and personal journey impacted your decisions as a leader?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very tiny little town next to Euphrates River in Turkey, Eastern part in Turkey. My family for generations were sheep herders, yogurt makers, cheese makers, nomads, basically nomads. I'm a nomad. And early childhood, I am remembering, I still go those days every single day in my imagination, in my dreams, my life, is that simple life, that nomadic life where you take your sheep and goats and cows and horses and tents, and you go up in the mountains as the pasture, and you make your products, and then in the fall you come back. So I grew up with this sense of community. I give you one example, and it's a very powerful one for me, is we felt safe, even though we did not have judges and law officers and all that kind of stuff. We were away from them, but we felt safe under the tent. We felt safe also the otherwise, where if wolf attacked your sheep in the mountains, or if your barn is burned down in the village and you lost all your sheep or your animals, the next day every family would bring one, so you would have as many sheep that you had before you lost them. So you had that sense of belonging, security. I also grew up in an area where money didn't mean anything. You couldn't buy anything with it. There were no stores, there was no technology, there was nothing. So what people value the most is personality, character, leadership, giving, caring, the importance of handshake, the importance of word, living up to the tradition, the uprising. So that was the environment I grew up. And then there was my mother. My father was the leader, but my mother was the brain. My mother was the soul. My mother was the teacher. So I grew up watching her and learning from her. And nature has been amazingly part of me. The shepherd's stories have been amazingly part of me, even to now. So that's the environment I grew up with. It wasn't without pains. I'm just telling you, the good side of it. Yes, we had no hospitals. We had no toys. We had sometimes hardship of nature and environment, and losses and devastations that came with it. There was, pain and sorrow that has been part of me as well. So, but we were just, our gifts were our stars and the rivers and the trees and the sheep and farmers. So that's the environment I grew up with. And it made me who I am. I go back all the time. And when I went to upstate New York and see the farms and the land and the river, I really felt at home. I thought, nature just reminded me home, and that's why I stayed in here.
Very nice. Along your journey, it feels like you've taken a lot of risk. How do you decide to take risk, and do you have a process when thinking about if you should take a risk?
You should answer that, because I'm sure you're the same. I always say, in this journey of entrepreneurship, you want to listen, but you want to eliminate noise. And for some reason, I've always trusted in my gut feeling, my internal voice. And I could not justify it. I could not explain to someone why I should do this. It would be made up. I just had this strong feeling what I wanted to do next. And that's what I do. I just follow that. I'm very curious about things. I'm very close to what I do. But above all, it's been since 2007 I started this. And then there's 2 years before that I literally slept in the factory floors. And then when I started in 2007 until 2012, I never left the factory. So there is a pain that comes with it, but you can't do it unless you love it. You can't do this type of stuff unless you're extremely passionate about it. So it's really amazing thing to do, being an entrepreneur, but at the same time, it's the most painful thing to do it to yourself. I would say this journey has been one of the greatest gifts for myself. Along the way, it's been said, the numbers, this much revenue generated, and this is done, you got this and you got that. But one of the biggest gifts I have is discovery of self. That's something that you cannot put price behind it. That's something that you understand, that a journey in that intense, and journey in that highs and lows, and the journey of interaction with others, and staying grounded, staying true to yourself, learn about yourself, and understand that your role, what it is in society, in community, and what's the reason that you do it. It's probably one of the best gifts that anyone could get out of this.
And when you think about your role in society and humanity, outside of Chobani, you're also a humanitarian and philanthropist. You're the founder of the Tent Partnership for Refugees, and you're a signatory to the Giving Pledge. Can you tell us more about the personal philanthropic work that you do?
Sure. I might have talked about it, or I don't know if you guys went to South Edmiston plant or the Idaho plant while you were here, the plant visit. Usually we offer it during the incubator class.
We went to New York and my daughter was sick at the time. And so I didn't get to make it and I was so disappointed. So hopefully at some point.
When the time is right and safe, you should come and bring along your daughter because she would love to see how it's like a chocolate factory, it's a yogurt factory. You'll love it. When I launched it, the plant, I hired everyone when previous owner closed it, that they fired. So I hired everyone back and I hired more, But then in that town, everybody was back. I just lost screen.
If it helps, I can see you and hear you still.
Oh, sorry, came back. Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
you're fine.
my screen just blocked, asking me for a passport. So I hit the town called Utica, and where I used to live. And there, I heard that there are a lot of refugees from all around the world, legally settled in this town, and they were having a hard time finding jobs. And I went to this refugee center and I said, what is the problem? And she said, well, the language is a problem. You know, most of them don't speak the language. Training is a problem. Most of them don't have the right way of training to get a job, access to job here. And then transportation is a problem. Most of them, they don't have cars. So I thought, okay, well, we hired everyone around us and we're hiring more. And these are people part of the community. And these are the challenges that can be easily fixed. They don't have cars, you put buses in place. They don't speak the language, you hire translators. They don't know how to do things or train, you train them in the factory. These are very simple things. Of course, it's a war. You could avoid it. You could choose not to do it. You could put some kind of HR conditions. These are the conditions you have to be able to have an access to job, but then you would exclude those people. And that's what was happening to these people. So I said, these are easy fixes. Let's do that. And I was part of it. And then we started hiring people. They both came. By the end of 2015, we end up having 30% of employees are from 19 different countries, 16 different nationalities. They're all refugees and recent immigrants. It was this beautiful picture in this little town in upstate New York. Before that, the only people who had accent were Frank, who was from Sicily, who were passing by this little town and thought that there was no good pizza store there and opened a pizza shop and married the local girl and stayed there. So that was Frank. He was the only guy who had an accent. And I was the second guy who showed up in that town. And now you have people from Asia, Africa, Middle East, South America. And I saw how people of that towns and the people from all around the world got to get together. It became community and they became brothers and sisters. And the magic started happening in the plants and in the company. So when I launched Idaho plant, I did exactly the same thing. But along the way, what I realized that, refugees, they go through this hardest journey that you can even imagine. And then some of them, hopefully they make it to a safety. And some of them from the camps, they could make it to countries like US and Canada or Western Europe. But you would think that the struggle ends there, it doesn't. Because you're still a refugee, you're still an outsider, you still have challenges like I described to you what happened to the people in Utica. But the minute you get a job, the minute you stand on your own feet, that is the minute you stop being a refugee. And I realized it because I saw it in front of me. So my work was actually hiring people in the communities that were having a hard time finding a job and realized that this is the end of being a refugee. And then you become part of community, then you become productive, you bring what is nature to you. And I saw people shine in a most dramatic way. So I started tent, and I went to Geneva. I had numerous conversations with NGOs and United Nations. I went to the field like Jordan and Greece and some other areas, Colombia, and taught that involvement of businesses, entrepreneurs, and brands in this field of refugees topics that humanity is facing, which is one of the most, I don't know how to explain that, but it is the most catastrophic human issues that we are facing. And all is left for governments and large international NGOs. So I thought this is one field that business can involve. And one thing, if I can have businesses to get involved with one, hire them, train them, support the refugee entrepreneurs, and be part of the solutions. And let this magic happen, that these people come to your company or your community, and let's see how magic happens and how they live, how they bring their best of them. And that journey has started in 2016, and today we have 140 companies, global, large multinational companies like Airbnb, MasterCard, and Johnson & Johnson, and you name it. And we are operated in Canada. We have Europe, in the US, and we become a community of companies. And we at Tent, we do financial studies, we do public opinion studies, we do manuals of how to hire, and we charge nothing to companies. All we want is the companies to be part of this magic. So it's been great.
I could talk to you for hours. The kindness and empathy and humility with what you lead, in the way you lead and what you've built is so inspiring. I will let Tolu take it away with Q&A, but I appreciate you taking the time. It was wonderful.
And so good to see you, Dennis. I feel like I re-engaged with my sister, and I'm so glad that your family's safe. Give my best to your husband and kisses to your daughter, please.
Will do. Thank you.
Hi, Hamdi.
Hi, Tolu.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with Denise. Your answers were really great. I have questions that have come in from, I have questions that have come in from students and other attendees that I'm hoping we can go through together. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I love you. It's so inspiring.
Sorry, say that again?
I hope we can meet in person one day.
Oh yes, definitely. I hope so too. So first question, sort of a two-part. If you could change one thing about your journey towards success, what would it be? Or in other words, like if you could go back in time to 2007 or 2008 when you were taking the early steps of starting Chobani, what would you tell your younger self? Like any lessons learned, things like that.
Sure. That's a great question. I would tell my younger self to have fun along the way as well. I think I have been really hard on myself. Smart working, is extremely important. So, and worry less and let magic happen. As long as you believe on yourself, you believe that if you're in the right, right mindset, right goal set, I hope it's clear what I'm trying to say, that things work out.
Yeah.
Things go in the right direction. I'm sure you had in your experience. So this worry, it's good to think about it. It's good to worry about things, but not to worry as much as you make an ulcer out of yourself. So that's one thing. And I guess I would go back and say, enjoy. It's not the destination, it's the journey. It's about the journey. And halfway through, I realized that. I didn't realize it in the beginning. I realized it halfway through. And then I pay attention to journey, the minutes, the days, and the hours, the months, because those are the moments that matters in the end. It's not how high you got and what summit you climbed to.
Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds good. That's something that definitely I, as like a recent college student, can relate to. Like, speaking of worry, I guess, was there ever a time that you doubted or thought that your company wouldn't succeed or like reach the level it has like in present day right now? Like any doubts or worries or things
Yeah,
like
I doubted myself a lot. You know,
Mhm.
I doubted myself a lot, and before anybody else doubted me, I doubted myself. And when I started, I thought I did something really, really beautiful. That yogurt is so delicious
Mhm.
that this was going to go a really good place. It will be very successful. The question was, I had never done this before. I never went to business school. I never worked for anyone. And I never knew anyone who has done this before. I had no network or anyone. So I am completely, out of this performance person who should be doing this.
Mhm.
So I doubted myself, and I started interviewing people who could be leading this company. And I would go to meetings and lunches and meetings, and every time I would meet somebody, I would come back and say, no, if he could do it, I could do better. I can do it. I think self-doubting is good as long as it doesn't become a catastrophic area. And my message to my colleagues has always been is eliminate the noises that could be destructive. And there is this perception, either for type of a person who I am, or where I come from, what my background is, if I not have the right type of education. People have this set opinions. And I'm not gonna try to change that. But if I don't allow that to affect me, how I am, and trying to prove everybody, that's something that I would love to stop it. So I think the destructive or damage from the environment, how people look at with the opinions, is it can be damaging, but the self one is even more.
Mhm.
So it's very important that we value ourselves, whoever we are. It's very important that we have the right understanding of ourselves, and not to be in this mindset of proving anybody wrong. Just be comfortable with it. And for some reason I had that, and I think my mother, I owe it to my mother. She somehow make me felt special, despite the fact that I come from Turkey, despite the fact that I have this experience, despite the fact that I don't speak the language well. I had that self-comfort, and every once in a while to have that doubt to understand if you have the technical ability.
Yeah.
It's fine, it's perfect, and I've done it. And look, from the beginning to the first 5, 6, 7 years, I think every year I have to change along the way, and these were dramatic change. Yeah. And it's not easy, it's hard. But if you have the right surroundings, right people around you, a support system, whether it's a spouse or mother, or people that you work with, or a community that you truly trust, that they're really honest with you, that they really give you the right honest answers, then you're not alone, because you cannot do this alone. Impossible to do this alone. And I give you one story. Second year or 2 years or 2.5 years later, I asked everyone at the company to come to conference room. This was about maybe 200 people, 200 people. And I said to them, we have something magical that we started. We've done things right. We start things right. It's a good energy, good motive, good reason. But I'm worried because the success is a very, very powerful element. And when it comes to our system, it could change us. And I'm worried that this could change me in a wrong way.
Yeah.
And I don't have anybody else to tell me. My mother is not here. I don't have anybody around me to tell me, hey, you're going in the wrong direction. So I said, I'm relying on you guys. So if you see me, I change in a wrong way, I give permission to every single one of you to hit me on the face. And some of these guys are big guys, you know, they're security people. And I meant it because I was relying on my brothers and sisters at Chobani to tell me, hey, Hamdi, you're losing it. Come back to reality. The other part is, and I said it when I have an announcement, you know, having the profit share and stake in the company of all my employees. I had a Chobani hat, and under Chobani hat, my mother's scarf was always in there, but nobody knew it. So every day I went to company, I went to factory, I went to any meetings, I always had a Chobani hat, but inside was my mother's scarf. The reason I did that is that I wanted to be true to her promise, true to her teaching. If I did something wrong, at least knowing that her belongings is in there, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. And still have done something wrong that she wouldn't be proving it. But at least that's what I tried at Chobani. And when we made that announcement, I opened my head and first time after 10 years, maybe 7, 8 years. And I said, you think that I'm the one who made all these good things? When it comes to this, you know, owner of this scarf. So having the support of trusted people is extremely important, whether family or colleagues or friends.
I agree. Another question that I have is directed towards you and Denise. What's the biggest risk that you guys have taken with starting your businesses? And if so, with that risk, did that risk pay off?
I'll let Denise to go first.
For me, I spent nearly a decade at Coca-Cola. I had a career where I think I was pretty well respected and I liked the work that I was doing. I loved the people I was working with. And so to leave that behind and start Partake. And then when we started, we were self-funded and we got perilously low. We came close to running out of money so many times. I have a band still. I don't have an engagement ring anymore. I don't have a 401k. And our family was all in financially. But like Hamdi said, there's this gut feeling, or I don't know if it's foolish optimism that comes with being an entrepreneur or what, but I always felt that there was a path forward. And I would always get a sign that I was doing the right thing. And this is what I was meant to be doing in my life. And so, you know, we took a big risk from a career perspective and a financial perspective, but I think it's paid off. I couldn't imagine doing anything besides running Partake now.
I have the similar ones when I started Chobani, but at the same time, I go back when I moved to this country at the age of 22.
Wow.
I was in this university that I love. I tried so hard to go in. I had a life I kind of seen what it's going to be like. Within 1 month, I had to get out because I was publishing a newspaper, and there I was writing some about human rights violations, Kurdish rights, and getting in trouble with the government. And I left in October of 1994 with a small bag, $2,000 in my pocket, no word English, and no one knew no one. That was pretty scary, very, very scary, and extremely risky at the same time from my perspective. But here I am. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. One last question for you, Hamdi. How do you think entrepreneurship has changed over the past couple of decades due to, I guess, the internet and just things evolving and technology and all of those things? Like, has it been easier or harder to bridge the gap between customers and you as the business owner? Like, what trends or things have you noticed or have had to adapt to with building your company?
It's a great question. And I'm sure Denise has intake on this one too. I see entrepreneurship becoming more approachable. I can tell from the founders are coming from Chobani Incubator. Diversity, not we try to be so diverse. The great ideas like Partake was coming from the women founders, was coming from Black founders, was coming from LGBT community founders. So sexual orientation, race, gender, background. So more and more people say, oh yeah, I can do that too, and truly believe and truly bring something authentic to them into life. So I think it's more accessible from that perspective. Reaching the customer, reaching the market share is a lot easier because of the social, internet and social network. Can I finish this and then I'll go? My son from school just visiting me. So I encourage, everyone. No, you can't do that. Please. I encourage everyone that at least from the school that you guys are representing, the hardship that you go through, the difficulty that you go through in life is a fuel for you to become a better entrepreneur. So let me put it this way. I don't know if I did it right. If I am successful, if I have a success, I owe it to hardship that I have gone through the life, whether social hardship, economic hardship, climate hardship, whatever that might be, because those are extremely effective to find solutions, because you survive through them. You face them. Your durability and your strength gets higher.
Yeah.
So you don't ask to be poor, but if you're poor, you're equipped to be a better entrepreneurs if you find a way to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
So investing in these communities, like you guys are doing, is extremely important. Tied with self-confidence and trust and believing in yourself, and supported with examples. So I see entrepreneurship becoming more broader, and I see the social entrepreneurs are getting, a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And that gives me a lot of hope that we could solve this, social issues, economic issues, environmental issues a lot faster because right-minded people are coming into business.
Yeah. What hopeful and motivating words for answering the last question. Thank you so much, Hamdi. I think we'll have Asosa come back on now. Thank you again for speaking with me. I really appreciate you.
So nice to meet you, Talwaz.
Nice to meet you too.
That was a great conversation. I wish we had more time this evening. Thank you, Hamdi and Denise, for giving us your time today and helping us kick off the celebration of our 30th year of serving students. And thank you for helping us in rolling out our first high school, designed for the 21st century, and for creating those through lines to increasing diversity in careers where our students have been historically underrepresented. Thank you, Tolu, for representing BWCF alumni so well and doing a great job coordinating the chat room tonight. I also want to thank our CEO, Nancy Kurz, for bringing us to this moment. A special thanks to the Board of Directors of the Beginning with Children Foundation for their ongoing support, and especially to BWCF board member, Michelle Brooks, who has been integral in connecting us to the wonderful folks at Chobani. I also want to thank our lead sponsors for supporting this conversation, Russ Carson, Joe Rich, and Rose Chavette. And I want to thank each and every one of you who have contributed and who have joined us this evening on Zoom and on our YouTube station. Please stay in touch and stay tuned as we will have additional critical conversations to share with you throughout this 30th anniversary year. Have a wonderful evening and be well, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.